I want to have an honest conversation with you today. Not a lecture, not a list of tips, not another video telling you what to do or what not to do. Just an honest conversation. The kind most men never get to have, because nobody around them is willing to say these things out loud. I have spent years studying behavioral psychology, relationship dynamics, and the documented research behind how attraction actually works between men and women. And in all of that time, there are three truths that come up again and again. Three things that are well documented, well understood in academic and research circles, and almost completely absent from the conversations most men have growing up. They are not easy to hear. They will probably challenge something you currently believe. And one of them, the third one, is going to feel uncomfortable in a very specific way that tells me it hit exactly where it was supposed to. But here is what I know. The men who understand these truths, who sit with them, who let them change how they see things, move through relationships with a clarity that most men spend their entire lives wishing they had. So let us have that conversation. Before we get into the three truths, I want to set something up. Everything in this video is about understanding, not about judging, not about assigning blame to women or men, not about making anyone the villain. Women are not the enemy. They are not complicated for the sake of being complicated. They are not playing games to make your life difficult. What they are is deeply human, shaped by biology, by emotion, by social conditioning, by every experience they have ever had. Just like you. The truths I am going to share today are not weapons. They are lenses. Ways of seeing the dynamics between men and women more clearly so that you can navigate them with more wisdom, more compassion, and more self-awareness. That is the only goal here. Clarity, understanding, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing how things actually work. All right. Truth number one. Truth one. Attraction is not a choice, and it cannot be negotiated. Let me tell you about a conversation I have heard more times than I can count. A man, good man, kind man, genuinely cares, is sitting across from a woman he loves, and he says something like, "I do everything right. I am there for her. I support her. I listen. I care more than any man she has ever been with. Why is she not attracted to me the same way she was?" And the brutal truth, the one nobody ever told him, is this. Attraction is not a reward for good behavior. It is not something a woman consciously decides to feel because you deserve it. It is not something that grows because you earn enough points. It is not a transaction. Attraction is a feeling, and feelings, as every honest person knows, do not respond to logic. You cannot argue someone into finding you attractive. You cannot be kind enough, supportive enough, or present enough to manufacture chemistry that is not already there. And the harder a man tries to negotiate his way into her feelings, the more those feelings move in the opposite direction. Research in evolutionary psychology is very clear on this. Female attraction responds primarily to behavioral signals, not to stated intentions, not to effort, not to how much a man verbally communicates his care. What triggers attraction are things like how a man carries himself, whether he holds his position under pressure, whether his emotional state is governed by his own internal compass or by her reactions, whether he has a sense of direction and purpose that exists independently of the relationship,
None of these things are about being cruel. None of them require you to care less. They simply require you to be more grounded, more purposeful, more self-directed. A woman cannot choose to feel attraction any more than you can choose which music moves you. Understanding this truth removes a huge amount of pain, because once you understand that attraction is not a reward system, you stop trying to earn it, and you start focusing on becoming someone whose presence naturally creates it. That shift, from earning to becoming, is one of the most important shifts a man can make. The second truth is one that took me a long time to fully accept, because it requires you to look at something uncomfortable about yourself, not about her. And that is always harder. Truth 2. She can feel your inner state, even when you say nothing. Here is something that will sound almost mysterious until you think about it carefully.
Women are extraordinarily sensitive to emotional signals. Not just what you say, but the energy underneath what you say. The way you hold yourself when you are uncertain. The micro hesitations in your voice when you are seeking approval. The difference between confidence that comes from genuine self-trust and confidence that is being performed because you are afraid of what happens if you drop it. She cannot always name what she is detecting. She might not consciously know what she is responding to, but she feels it. Consistently, accurately. Research on nonverbal communication shows that human beings, and women in particular, pick up on emotional congruence. Whether a person's stated confidence matches their actual internal state. Whether the calm they are displaying on the surface is real or manufactured. This is where so much of the advice men receive goes completely wrong. Men are told, act confident, fake it until you make it, stand up straight, speak slower. All of that advice treats confidence like a costume, something you wear on the outside. But she is not reading your costume. She is reading what is underneath it. And what is underneath it, for most men, is a quiet anxiety, a constant monitoring of her reactions, a subtle but persistent need for her to respond in a certain way so that he can feel okay about himself. She feels that monitoring. She feels that need. And over time, even if she cannot name it, it shapes how she sees you. You cannot think your way to genuine confidence. You have to build it from the inside, through action, purpose, and self-knowledge. The practical implication of this truth is significant. It means that the work is internal, not external. It means that real change in your relationships begins with real change in how you relate to yourself, your own worth, your own purpose, your own emotional stability. When that inner state genuinely shifts, she will feel it, without you saying a word, without you changing anything on the surface. That is how powerful this truth is when you actually live it. Now, the third truth. I mentioned at the beginning that this one would feel uncomfortable in a specific way. I want to prepare you for that. This truth is not about women. It is entirely about men, about a pattern that most of us carry, and most of us have never had anyone honest enough to name for us. It is also the one that, when you genuinely understand it and begin to change it, transforms everything else. Truth 3. Most men have made a woman their emotional home, and it is costing them everything. Let me describe something, and I want you to be honest with yourself about whether it sounds familiar. When she is warm and engaged, you feel good. You feel capable. You feel like things are right with the world.
When she is distant or cold or simply distracted, something in you shifts. A low-level anxiety creeps in. You find yourself reviewing the last conversation, wondering what you said, what you did, whether something is wrong. Your emotional state follows hers. Her good mood becomes your good mood. Her distance becomes your unease. If any of that sounds familiar, you have made her your emotional home. And I say this with complete compassion, because it is one of the most common patterns I see in men, and one of the most costly. When a man's emotional state depends on a woman's response, something shifts in the dynamic between them. She begins to feel the weight of that dependency, the responsibility of managing not just her own emotional world, but his as well. That weight does not feel like love to her, even if it comes from love. It feels like pressure, like a subtle demand, like she must always be on, must always be warm and available and responsive, or something in him will falter. And over time, that pressure erodes something, not because she is cruel, not because she does not care, but because no one can sustain being another person's primary source of emotional stability without eventually feeling trapped by it. She wants to be chosen, not needed. There is a profound difference between the two. Chosen means, I have built a full life, I am complete, and among everything available to me, I choose to share that fullness with you. Needed means, without you, something in me is missing. I require your presence to feel whole. The first creates a relationship between two whole people. The second creates a dependency that suffocates the very thing it is trying to hold on to. The practical path forward from this truth is not to care less. It is to build more. Build more of yourself, more of your own purpose, more of your own friendships, passions, goals, and inner life. Become so full, so genuinely engaged with your own existence that you bring abundance to the relationship rather than need.
When that happens, and it is a real shift, not a performance, the entire dynamic changes. She stops feeling pressure and starts feeling presence. She stops managing your emotions and starts enjoying your company. She stops being your home and starts being your partner. Here is what I want you to notice about all three of these truths. None of them are about tactics. None of them are about what to say or how to act or what moves to make. Every single one of them points to the same place: inward. Truth 1. Attraction cannot be earned. It can only be created through who you genuinely are. Truth 2. She reads your inner state, so the inner state is what must change. Truth 3. Making her your emotional home costs you everything. The work is to become your own emotional home first. 3 different truths, 1 direction, inside. The relationship you want, the dynamic you want, begins with the man you decide to become. Not tomorrow, not when things are easier. Right now, with whatever you have in front of you today. I want to end this conversation the same way I started it, honestly. These 3 truths are not easy. Knowing them does not automatically change anything. Understanding something intellectually and actually living it differently, that gap is real. That gap takes time and consistency and the willingness to look at yourself without flinching. But I genuinely believe that awareness is the beginning of everything, that you cannot change what you cannot see, and that the men who are willing to see clearly, even when what they see is uncomfortable, are the ones who eventually build something real,
Something that does not depend on the right circumstances or the right woman responding in the right way or everything going perfectly. Something that is theirs, regardless of what anyone else does. That kind of man is rare, and that rarity is everything. If this conversation gave you something real, subscribe to Mind Tactics Lab. Every week we go deeper into the psychology and the honest truths that most people are not willing to discuss. And tell me in the comments, which of the 3 truths hit you the hardest? Be honest. That honesty is the beginning of the work. I will see you in the next one.